Today I took a trip down to Wilsonville, Oregon to take a look at one of Tesla's newest supercharger locations. Now these superchargers behind me aren't turned on yet, but they're still worth a visit because they're not just any supercharger. This is the V4. Now, for those of you familiar with the Tesla Supercharger Network, this might not come as news, but Tesla is one of the leaders in charging infrastructure globally and the top in most major world markets. That said, here in the United States, there are currently almost 2,000 Tesla Supercharger stations with nearly 22,000 charging stalls available. Now, those are certainly significant numbers, but reference is really important here. When you look at the largest open DC fast charging network in the United States, which happens to be Electrify America, they currently have 800 stations with nearly 3,500 charging ports available. This is going to be a distinct difference between the two, but the other distinct difference is that Electrify America will charge more than just your Tesla. Now, if you don't have a Tesla, why do you care about Tesla Superchargers? Well, this version 4 is designed to be available to nearly all electric vehicles on the road today. The exclusion, unfortunately, is going to be folks with the CHAdeMO connector, but built into this unit is not only the Tesla proprietary connector, but also the CCS, so that other folks in Volvos and Volkswagens and Subarus and you name it are going to be able to plug in and utilize this charger. Now, one of the biggest advantages of the Supercharger network has not just been the size of it and the availability of it, or the way it's integrated into the vehicle, or how intelligent the whole thing has worked as a unit. But the biggest thing is that it's been simple to use. All you do is walk up to your supercharger, unplug from the supercharger unit, plug into your vehicle. Once this is done, these systems start communicating and your charging is off and running. Now, Tesla has always had access to your account. They have a credit card on file and you're good to go. There's been no need to open up apps, flip through credit cards, tap or swipe. It's been just as simple as plug and play. However, with the Supercharger V4 and having access to a number of other vehicles on the market, the system's going to have to change a little bit. So if this is the version 4, what makes it different than all the other Tesla Superchargers out there? Well, historically, they've all had a very similar look, and one of the only ways you would know the difference is by checking the screen on your Tesla that tells you what the maximum charge rate is. The later units have been able to charge at a faster rate, and these version 4s are starting out at a rate of 250 kilowatts. That's not going to be the first thing you notice. The first thing is going to be the difference in size, as these units are significantly taller than the previous superchargers. The other thing you might notice is that this is a single piece, whereas historically the superchargers have had a cutout here in the middle. Why don't we go take a quick look? I apologize if it's a little bit loud behind me. I am right next to the freeway where you do find most superchargers and other DC fast charge stations. What I'm standing next to right now is the version 3 of the supercharger, and this was installed just a few years ago. Right now, these units are putting out 250 kilowatts, which is going to match the version 4 of the supercharger, but there are going to be a couple main differences. The first difference is going to be the most obvious, and that's visual. This has looked the same since the supercharger first came out, and it's become the iconic look of the supercharger, and that has changed for the version 4. Here we see a similarly rectangular shape, a little more curved. It does have a few accent pieces out on the side here. You have a little bit of a chrome silver bit. On the inside, you get the red accents along with the red lettering. But the big difference has been this charging cable. The cable length is one of the biggest things to have changed from version 3 to version 4, which is to say that this cable right here is about 6 feet long. However, we're going to find a significantly longer cable there on the version 4, and that's going to make it a lot easier for other folks to plug in their non-Teslas, and potentially for much bigger Teslas like the upcoming Cybertruck, it'll make it just that much easier for folks to reach as well. Besides that center cutout being a unique design element, that's also been where the charging cable lived. But as you can see on this unit here, this cable dangles out front and overall on the exterior of the unit. One of the most significant design pieces of the Supercharger has been its ability to function with Teslas. And all Teslas have had their charge port located here on the back left. But if you've been trying to use the Magic Dock on a version 3 connector, if you happen to have one of those in your area, you found it difficult if your charge port does not happen to be in the back left. Most vehicles have it on either side or they have it in the front. Now, if that happens to be front right, you're set. If it's front left, you've been in trouble. But with this new 10-foot cable, I can reach not just my charge port, But if this happened to be farther back, if I backed in with a vehicle that happened to have a bigger overhang than my Model 3 here, which is a lot of them, likely including the Cybertruck, this would not prove to be an issue. I would also be able to pull off the previously impossible maneuver of plugging in my car that happened to be on the front left of the vehicle. I could pull in and now without issue reach my charge port location, again, just about anywhere here on the first half of the vehicle. Now, as I mentioned, it's unfortunate these aren't operational yet because I've got my car plugged in. The reason for that is so that we can see what's happening up inside the charge connector. It may not be the easiest to see, but up in here we have the CCS adapter that would connect directly to the charge cable if you're using a non-Tesla or, again in the future, potentially a non-NACS vehicle. And down below it, we're gonna have our touchscreen display that unfortunately we haven't seen the software for, but my expectation is that this is not only updatable, but it's what you use for your payment, whether you're accessing an account through an app or if you have a tap-to-pay credit card. Either way, this is going to be designed for multiple vehicles, future updatability, and ease of use. So here it is, the latest and greatest in Tesla charging, but more importantly than that, this is the charger designed for everyone. Well, almost everyone. And as we see more and more of these pop up, I'm excited to see the hopefully positive impact it has on your next trip fueled by electricity. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns, leave those down in the comment section below. Find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, X, all those other social media places, and hopefully we see you in the next one.